Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to Well with Mika, your go to podcast for real wellness that fits your real life. I'm Mika, your cultural wellness ally, and today we're talking food and mood. Have you ever noticed how what you eat impacts how you feel? Look, I'm not talking about that initial, that's your chicken tastes good. Make you do a little happy dance, bust a little two step. And I'm also not talking about allergies and intolerances. No, we're not dealing with that. I'm talking more in that slightly longer time frame that happens over the course of hours after you eat. That postprandial, that post donut binge crash or sluggish itis feeling, persistent brain fog, anxiety, or depression. Or on the flip side, maybe you've had some days where you just felt energized and clear headed after you eat. That's no coincidence. There's real science behind how food influences our mental health. Look, food isn't just fueling our bodies. This food is out here doing some emotional remodeling up in here. So we're going to dive in to what is happening between food and mood. But let's be clear, nutrition is just one piece of the mental health puzzle. If you're struggling with significant mental health challenges, persistent depression, severe anxiety, or other clinical conditions, therapy, medication, and working with the professional mental health practitioner are crucial parts of mental health care. What we're exploring today is how food can be a powerful tool in your wellness toolkit, not a magic wand. Mental health is complex. It involves genetics, environment, life experiences, stress, sleep, movement, relationships, and yes, nutrition. All of that impacts your mental health. Look, if all I needed to do was eat my way out of anxiety, I'd be the happiest woman alive, okay? So let's understand the complexity. In this episode, we're going to dive into the connection between your gut and brain, aka the gut brain axis, key nutrients that support a better mood and reduce stress, and practical ways to nourish our mind through food without overcomplicating it. So let's get into it. All right, getting a little bit personal for a second. I've struggled with anxiety and depression for a good chunk of my life. But I noticed something a while back. My food choices were impacting my mental state and my mood. The crappier my food choices over an extended period of time, the crappier my mood. And then when I started paying closer attention to what I was eating, leaving a lot less room for any ultra processed crap and getting more veggies in, especially, I was less anxious and my overall mood was better. Now, look, I'm just one person. This is no meta analysis. I'm just one person, one example. But there's a whole emerging field of psychiatry called nutritional psychiatry that examines the impact of food on mood and mental health. My first introduction to the field was through the work of Dr. Drew Ramsey, and currently I've been reading Dr. Naidoo's books. And there are definitely other resources and articles that I'll include in the show description for you to check out when you can. So let's get into this gut-brain connection. Let's get into the science. Your gut and brain, think of them like besties in constant communication. And the food you eat, that's their way of talking to each other. As Dr. Lisa Mosconi puts it, the brain is an organ of metabolism as much as it is an organ of thought. Look, about 90% of your body's serotonin, or the happiness chemical, is produced in your gut. So a diet high in processed foods and sugar, excess sugar, added sugar, creates what Julia Ross calls chemical chaos, which is internal inflammation that disrupts emotional balance. And on the flip side, eating whole nutrient-dense foods, that's going to support a healthy, happy brain. So there are some key players, about 3 key players in how your food affects your mood. Number 1, inflammation. Think of it as like a tiny internal storm that makes everything feel harder. So the ultra-processed foods and the excess sugar, that's going to trigger inflammatory responses that directly impact your mood. Number 2, your microbiome balance. The bacteria in your gut, they're not just laid back, legs up, watching TV. They're not passive residents, okay? They're not just there doing nothing. They're active players in your mental health. So as Dr. Naidoo she calls this our second brain. And fermented foods and diverse veggies are like sending in the best team to manage that, to help make sure that it's balanced and it could support a healthy mood and brain, okay? And next, nutrient density. Your brain needs specific nutrients to function optimally. As Mosconi notes, what you eat directly shapes the health of your brain. So here's something cool. Your mood is influenced not just by what you eat, but by the entire ecological story behind your food. Sometimes we don't focus on this aspect enough, which is that modern farming has dramatically reduced soil mineral content. So a tomato today might have up to 90% fewer nutrients than one grown a century ago. And this is especially important for those of us in urban areas. So what we'd want to do is look for local regenerative agriculture, farmers markets, diverse organic food sources when possible, community gardens and small scale farming. Do your backyard farming, go to a community garden, and definitely support legislation that addresses food deserts, okay? Without access, how could we feed ourselves properly? So support legislation that addresses that. Now let's talk about what to eat to feel our best. Number one, omega-3 fatty acids. Now, we want to put these good fats into our diet, and we're going to find those in fatty fish like salmon, sardines. You want to eat walnuts and seeds, and that's going to get you your omega-3 fatty acids. Number two, probiotics and prebiotics. So prebiotics that's the undigestible foods that you plant food that you're going to intake, and the probiotics, that's going to be your fermented foods that's going to populate your guts with the good bacteria. So you want fermented foods and fiber-rich foods. And number three, magnesium, dark leafy greens, nuts. And if you eat whole grains, all right? Number four, B vitamins, eggs and lean meats. Oh, I miss the days when eggs were cheap. Oh, but we'll get into that another time. And tryptophan, turkey, eggs, and nuts. Oh, the good old eggs. All right, so we got omega-3 fatty acids, pre and probiotics, magnesium, B vitamins, tryptophan. Those are what's going to feed your mood and make you feel better, okay? Now, foods that you want to avoid, that's going to drag you down. Excess sugar. You want to limit your sugar, okay? You don't want to intake a bunch of foods that have a lot of added sugar in them. That's going to cause energy crashes and mood swings. You want to limit your highly processed foods or just eliminate them. That's going to trigger inflammation. Caffeine overload. That can spike stress hormones, and we all metabolize the caffeine differently. So some people can tolerate a higher amount, and some people are extra sensitive at even a low dose. So just remember, to pay attention to your caffeine intake. And alcohol. Oh gosh, I know some people this is painful, but might feel good in the beginning for a little bit, that alcohol feeling nice, but you want to check that, okay, because it can worsen your mood over time. So let's make this practical and doable, okay? We're not going to do a complete overhaul. We're going to start small. Swap one processed snack for a whole food option or a fermented option, okay? Number two, you want to build balanced meals. Include protein, healthy fats, and carbs in your meals, okay? Number three, stay hydrated. Hydrate. Even mild dehydration can affect your mood, all right? Not sugary drinks. We're talking water, herbal teas, things that don't have a lot of added sugar, if any. Listen to your body. Try keeping a simple food mood journal, not a regular food journal. We want a food mood journal. So you want to, or even if you can include this if you are already doing a food journal, think about and write down how you feel over the course of a couple weeks or even a week. Okay, I ate this for breakfast, and over the next few hours I felt like such and such. Okay, this doesn't have to be complicated. It could be in a little notes app. You could text message yourself, have a sheet of paper that you just write the little note on and keep it moving. And then you want to think local. Choose seasonal, local foods as much as possible. And just try not to look at it as a chore. Think of it more as like an investigation. You're being curious, okay? And you want to understand your body's unique signals, okay? So make it about curiosity, not really about being a chore, okay? So for deeper learning, I'll include a list of books in the description that you can check out from Dr. Naidoo, from Dr. Drew Ramsey, from Julia Ross, and I hope that they can provide some insight for you. So your challenge for this week is to just make one small intentional food choice for your mental health. Tag me on social, hashtag well with Mika, and share your experience with me. I would love to hear what you swap in and out. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, be kind to yourself, eat some fermented foods, and as always, happy healthing. Peace.